So look, ideally, not only would every employee be prepared to administer first aid, but each construction company and job site would also have a designated first aid provider. In fact, OSHA requires trained first aid providers to be on site regardless of how large or small that organization. If there's none nearby, suitable medical facilities must be available to treat employees who could become injured. Once you determine first aid is required, and you've quickly but thoroughly assessed a situation, if you had to, alerting emergency personnel, you can then begin administering care if it's safe to do it. Keep in mind that whenever possible, even if you're waiting for emergency medical professionals to arrive, you can't leave the victim. You should continuously monitor them. This is especially important for victims who are or might become unconscious. If you do determine that you can't administer any additional care, providing them appropriate shelter, comfort, and helping them stay calm or conscious is still going to benefit or potentially save their life. If you've got to call 911 due to major injuries or illness, always let the victim know, hey, help is on the way. This can be done prior to receiving their consent to first aid, and then you reinforce it as it's appropriate. Now let's dive deep into treatment methods for the minor and major injuries and illnesses, and also the related physical states that are part of this training. I'm going to assume for each of these treatments that the first aid provider is going to wash their hands, wear gloves, and take all the other precautions to protect both themselves and the victim from the spread of infectious disease. You got to make sure that's true. As a general rule, you always need to consider whether the treatment you're going to administer is going to improve the victim's condition or worsen it. Do not continue with care that's going to cause greater harm or bring them closer to death. In all these scenarios, don't move the victim unless it's necessary for their continued safety. If you've got multiple victims on the scene, you have to prioritize care based on severity and likelihood of death. The primary goal of first aid is to save lives, and there's no perfect formula for making judgment calls in severe emergencies. But look, generally speaking, you'll prioritize non-breathing victims first, followed by unconsciousness, head injuries, bleeding, broken bones, and burns. Each scenario differs in severity, and the best preparation is continuous practice and training.